Rapper Nicki Minaj was the apparent target of a swatting call last night at around 7 p.m. The LA County Sheriff's Department received a call claiming an assault with a deadly weapon had occurred at the Grammy winner's Hidden Hills residence.
And it's a lot of rappers behind the scene that want to talk about it, and they're scared. But sweetheart, I'm not scared. I'm legendary in these streets. You know how many artists I've spoken to behind the scenes that are too afraid to speak up?
So you'll speak. We'll speak, y'all.
I'm gonna speak because y'all can't touch me. I am completely protected. I am protected by God. Y'all don't see that by now?
You gotta be working with them. As far as I'm concerned, Roc Nation is run by a couple. You know what I'm saying? Why would people think the government don't run businesses? You don't think by right now that they ain't got a major rapper that's a snitch, that's an informant?
All right. Remember when Jay-Z said this?
I think we passed kneeling.
Let me play again. This time, look at the reaction of the lady sat just behind him.
Nicki Minaj just shook the internet. She dropped real receipts accusing Roc Nation of running a setup game on rappers, and she's not holding back. She called out Jay-Z and Desiree Perez. Yeah, the same woman with a criminal past who later flipped and became a government informant. But Nicki isn't just throwing wild shots. She's dropping direct links connecting Roc Nation to Tory Lanez' sentence. 6ix9ine has snitch label, Casanova's RICO case, and more. And here's the wild part. All these situations tie back to one common name, Desiree Perez. Every single one of them either spoke up against her or got too close to something shady. But just when people thought it couldn't get messier, Desiree's own daughter stepped in and backed Nicki. She's saying her mom had her locked away in a mental institution for no reason.
Prevent me from leaving wrong.
The incident started on March 27th of last year.
So legally, I can't go home.
No.
Why?
Demore Hadley says she was lured to that parking lot by someone posing as a potential client for the landscaping company she runs with her then boyfriend, now husband.
She said her mom didn't just play dirty. She went full-blown cartel with it. When she told Desiree she wasn't leaving her husband, that's when things got real grimy.
Think about that for a second. If Desiree would do that to her own daughter, what would she be willing to do to someone like Nicki? Especially now that Nicki is exposing secret connections between Roc Nation and the government. And for anyone doubting it, Desiree's daughter went public, and not one major media outlet even touched the story. That silence, that's exactly why Nicki's making noise and dropping hard evidence that Roc Nation might be working hand in hand with federal agents.
Most artists have no clue what is happening. Y'all don't know what the we go through. At the workplace, you know how many women, I said this on Twitter, get strategically blackballed out of their positions when they're a little too strong, when they're a little too smart, and get told that they're angry black women and they're having a breakdown?
Now let's break down what Nicki actually posted. She dropped a screenshot that flat out claims Roc Nation and Desiree Perez have been working with federal authorities, tracking artists and using their legal problems to control them. The doc goes as far as calling Desiree a confidential informant for federal law enforcement. And this ain't no shady anonymous DM. The document comes straight from an actual lawsuit filed by Desiree's daughter, Desiree Hadley. In it, Desiree accuses her mom of forcibly institutionalizing her with no medical reason at all. Desiree even shared body cam footage from the exact moment she was dragged into a mental hospital. She says it was all a setup pulled off by her own mom.
So legally, I can't go home.
No, you cannot.
Why?
Because you're being Baker active.
Body camera video shows the moments Broward deputies encouraged Demore Hadley to get into this pickup truck with people she says she didn't know.
I can't ride with you and you guys take me?
You're going to be in handcuffs, so dog's not going to be able to come?
No, I don't want to be in handcuffs.
Okay.
Demore says they took her to a hospital for a mental health evaluation after this doctor signed paperwork saying she was a risk to herself.
What he told me was, we received a call from your family that you tried to OD the night before.
A doctor she says she'd never met before. And according to Demore, it's her own mother who's behind it. In this lawsuit, she claims her mother, Desiree Perez, used unlawful means to have Demore falsely detained under Florida's Baker Act and Marchman Act.
So she's the CEO of Roc Nation, a company that she owns along with Sean Carter, the famous rapper Jay-Z.
And wait till you hear why Desiree allegedly did it. According to Dare's complaint, Desiree used her power and influence to break up Dare's marriage with her husband, Jevin Hadley. Dare says her mom threatened to use the Baker Act on her if she didn't get a divorce. That's Florida's infamous law that lets authorities lock someone in a psych ward for up to 72 hours if they think you're mentally unstable. But here's the most disturbing twist. The reason Desiree allegedly wanted her daughter to leave Javon? Because he's black. That's what Dare is saying in her lawsuit. She claims Desiree told her straight up, "I'm going to Baker Act you if you stay with that N-word. I will have you committed." That's the woman running Jay-Z's company, and it doesn't stop there. Dare backed up her claims with dozens of medical documents showing she was fully sober, clear-headed, and absolutely not in any kind of crisis. She says her mother weaponized mental health laws to try and ruin her life, all because she married a black man. This isn't just celebrity drama. It's something way darker, and Nicki is daring to bring it into the light. When Desiree Perez had her own daughter locked away, Dare Hadley didn't stay quiet. She took to X and dropped receipts. She posted her medical records and shut down all the fake blogs and paid off Instagram accounts trying to smear her name. Dare made it crystal clear. "I had blood work, urine screens from 3 separate clinics. Even a hair follicle test that goes back months. I passed everything. I've never used drugs, never drank alcohol, and I've got over 10 years of clean primary care records to prove it." So how does this connect to Nicki Minaj? Well, Nicki's been calling out Desiree Perez and Jay-Z for years, but nobody took her seriously. Folks just said she was bitter and jealous. Remember when Nicki and Megan Thee Stallion were throwing shots at each other in diss tracks? That's when Nicki warned she was about to expose Desiree's shady power moves and accused her of firing tons of Roc Nation employees for no real reason. Nicki even tweeted, "On the next song, I delve into all the people Desiree allegedly fired for unknown reasons. So many people were blindsided and hurt by her." Then she added, "She's willing to go broke to try to replace me. Fix it, Jesus." But here's what's wild. Those people weren't just let go randomly. They were allegedly fired because they were Nicki Minaj fans. Now Desiree's own daughter is backing up Nicki's claims, saying Roc Nation and Desiree have done horrible things to try and destroy Nicki's career behind the scenes. Dare even said that Roc Nation came after her family too, targeting her husband and even her son.
She has been through some trauma and some abuse with Roc Nation, with Desiree Perez, with other individuals. They've abused her. They've abused of her platform. They've abused of her talent. They've abused of her freedom of speech. They've abused her family. They've attacked her husband. They've attacked her child. And it's sad. It's really sad.
Dare compared her forced hospitalization to the way Nicki's been treated, saying Roc Nation and Desiree are way more dangerous than the public knows.
Roc Nation, my mother, Desiree Perez, all these law firms, Reed Smith, they have a lot of money and connections and resources. Really sad. Somebody so resourceful, talented, high profile as Nicki Minaj being targeted. It should really scare the American people. It should really scare you guys too, right? Because I'm the daughter, so it's like at this point, if it's happening to me, I think she's really outspoken, and I'm grateful that she's being outspoken on it, because I think she's almost saying it like, well, it happened to me, it's happening to her, let me speak up on it. Nobody is safe right now.
And after seeing Dare's lawsuit and interviews, Nicki clapped back on X and let it all out. She said, "To the PMs who claim it wasn't made clear to your ugly asses, hopefully Dare's massive and detailed claim gets you all the way caught up, and never call me a liar." She didn't stop there. Nicki wrote, "Every single angel ever created fights for me at the mention of that word. Vengeance is the Lord's. Be careful. No one who conspired on the wrong side will go unpunished. I hope it was all worth it." She straight up confirmed that Roc Nation tried to tear apart her family, saying powerful people are still working behind the scenes to separate her husband from their home. And things got even crazier. Remember when Nicki got swatted multiple times, starting in mid-2023? She says that wasn't random at all. She claims it was all part of Roc Nation's twisted scheme to silence her. The first swatting, cops were called to her house with fake claims about child abuse. LAPD showed up, did a full investigation, and found nothing. Then, just hours later, another call came in saying there was a fire at the same address.
Earlier this month, officers arrived at Minaj's home around 6 p.m. to investigate a report that Nicki's 3-year-old son was being abused. After examining the toddler, officers determined he was safe and they left. But another call was made in the early morning hours, and around 3 a.m., Minaj and her family were awakened after a fire was reported at her home. Firefighters arrived and found no flames. Swatting is a term used by law enforcement officials used to describe an act of making a false report in order to get a response from police that can involve an armed SWAT team.
Again, nothing there, and it didn't stop. Weeks later, someone called in a report claiming Nicki had been shot. Cops stormed her home, but again, no signs of any crime. According to the LA Times, even the sheriff's department confirmed it was a swatting incident, and a neighbor verified that law enforcement really responded to Nicki's place in Hidden Hills.
Rapper Nicki Minaj was the apparent target of a swatting call last night at around 7 p.m. The LA County Sheriff's Department received a call claiming an assault with a deadly weapon had occurred at the Grammy winner's Hidden Hills residence. The caller claimed somebody had shot at a black female or had shot a black female adult, and two suspects wearing all black were still on the property. But when deputies arrived at Minaj's residence, there was no evidence of any crime.
It was clear. This wasn't random. It was planned, repeated, and meant to scare her. And all of this went down right when Nicki started blasting Roc Nation online, exposing their dirty secrets and hinting that something way bigger is going on behind the curtain. So when Desiree's daughter says Roc Nation destroys people who won't play along, and then Nicki starts getting swatted and her kid gets dragged into it, you gotta wonder, was this part of the Roc Nation playbook? Was this their warning shot? Because none of this feels like coincidence anymore. Let's not forget, Desiree Perez has a dark past, and according to an investigative account on X called Resist Programming, Nicki got targeted for speaking out loud what everyone else whispered in private. That Roc Nation isn't just a music label, it's a front for federal operations locking in rappers. And guess who's at the center of it? Desiree Perez, a former convicted criminal turned informant. In 1994, she got busted with 35 kilos of cocaine and was charged with conspiracy to distribute. Court documents reviewed by the New York Daily News show she was tied to a criminal network stretching from New York to Florida all the way to Puerto Rico. And she wasn't working alone. And here's where it all comes full circle. Desiree Perez wasn't the only one tied up in this web. Her husband, Juan O.G. Perez, was deep in it too. He's not just anybody. Juan is one of Jay-Z's oldest friends. They go way back, even launched the 40-40 Club together in the 90s. Later on, Jay handpicked him to be the president of Roc Nation Sports. They're still close today. Real tight family vibes. But don't let that fool you. Let's rewind to Desiree's drug charges. 35 kilos of cocaine. So what happened after she got caught? Here's the twist. She didn't serve a single day behind bars. Nope. She flipped on her people and became a federal informant. Desiree cut a deal, wore a wire, and helped the feds take down her own crew. That's how she skated by with just 5 years probation. A 2014 New York Daily News report even called her the Fed's star mole. They described her as a Manhattan club boss with deep ties to hip-hop's elite and a long rap sheet. She wasn't just a one-time informant either. They said she had a whole history of snitching, bouncing between being a DEA witness and straight-up fugitive. Now, yeah, she got a presidential pardon years later. But according to Nicki Minaj, the snitching never really stopped. Nicki is out here saying both Desiree and Jay-Z are still playing both sides, using Roc Nation not just as a label, but as a government front to trap rappers and watch the culture. So who do they allegedly set up? First up, Tory Lanez. He got convicted in 2022 for shooting Megan Thee Stallion, but Nicki and others have raised major questions about the case. Gunshot residue results didn't point to Tory, bullet fragments from Megan's foot magically vanished, and multiple witnesses said they saw a woman with the weapon. Even Tory's own people called out the sketchy chain of custody, and guess what? Right before his sentencing, Tory went public, calling out Roc Nation.
Tory Lanez goes to jail. They gave y'all all the facts of the juice of Tory Lanez going to jail and this, that, and the third, and Megan getting arrested and da-da-da-da. 2 days after that, I get a call from Roc Nation that says, yo, we heard you're gonna make a statement about what happened, and it'd be in your best interest if you don't make that statement.
And after he was found guilty, his dad went off outside the courthouse shouting that Jay-Z, Desiree, and Roc Nation were bartering the souls of young men.
I got some names that I want to call. Alex Spiro, Desiree Perez, and the whole wicked system of Roc Nation, including you, Jay-Z.
Yes. Yes.
You who say you rose from the gutter, but you have traded and bartered the souls of young men, and you're still doing it.
Tory wasn't alone either. Just like Nicki warned, artists who speak out seem to get hit real quick. Look at 6ix9ine. Yeah, he got labeled a snitch during his RICO case, but nobody talks about how he also came for Roc Nation. He teamed up with Nicki and openly called out Desiree Perez too. Then boom, legal chaos.
The rap game don't want y'all to know certain stuff, right? And I'm gonna expose the whole rap game right now because I got facts, right? This is what I do when I come on live, and shout out to the Queen Nicki, she'll be joining in just a few. She's an executive at Roc Nation. She's an executive at Roc Nation. You see her with Meek Mill. You know what I'm saying? She's an executive at Roc Nation. There she goes right here, right? Let's see who Desiree Perez is, right? The story that spooked Dash revealed how Perez, the wife of longtime Jay-Z wingman Juan Perez, became a cooperating witness for the DEA in the 1990s. Again, this is public information. This is public information.
And what about Casanova? He had ties to Roc Nation, started raising questions about their business, and then, out of nowhere, got hit with federal RICO charges.
Casanova has officially been sentenced for his alleged crimes as a part of the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang. On Tuesday, June 27th, Casanova, whose real name is Caswell Sr., received 188 months or 15 years behind bars from U.S. District Judge Philip P. Halpern.
The timing, suspicious, and the way his case unfolded, same old pattern Nicki's been warning about. Lock artists into contracts, control them, and when they start to resist, tear them down. But here's what's really got the industry shaking. Nicki has more names. She's not just talking about rappers. We're talking managers, executives, judges, media bosses, the whole system. If Nicki drops everything she's holding, we might see Roc Nation crumble in front of our eyes. So what do you think? Is Roc Nation really a secret tool for federal control in the music world? Is Desiree Perez still doing government business behind the scenes? Drop a comment and let me know what side you're on. Are these just wild claims, or is Nicki finally pulling the curtain back on something way deeper? Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because this story, it's far from over. See you on the next one.